Okay, today we're going to look at one of the common areas that new QuickBooks users make, especially if they're a smaller enterprise and perhaps they don't do all of their banking live. That is, there's not a bookkeeper every day recording the bank transactions that are happening. Perhaps they do those after the fact, maybe weekly, or sometimes I see it done even less than that. Happens a lot with people that use, that download the transactions from the bank as well. Now we're looking at the home screen in QuickBooks, and this is a really informative screen, I think. And if you're not completely familiar with QuickBooks, this is a good thing to look at when you're unsure of how QuickBooks is going to handle certain transactions. And so we're focused today on customers and sales. So I want to look at this middle section right here. And you see these gray arrows. That kind of shows us the workflow that QuickBooks, the way QuickBooks is expecting things to go. And so if we look at that, we start here with estimates, which is optional. You don't have to use estimates. A lot of people don't. So you may start with this step right here, create invoices. But you see that gray arrow then shows you the steps that QuickBooks is expecting you to take in order to complete these transactions correctly. We're going to create an invoice. We're going to receive a payment at some point in the future from the customer that pays that invoice. And we're going to come back and we're going to record that deposit from those customers that paid us on a particular day or during a particular week, if we only go to the bank once a week. Okay, so what's a common error that people might make? Well, most people like invoicing their customers, and so they may do that. But if they don't have a lot of bank transactions, if they're not doing those on a daily basis, they may be using the check register, since it is faster if you're recording bank transactions after the fact. And so they may come in here and open the register for their bank account and say, well, I just made a deposit today. I made that deposit for $4,320. QuickBooks wants an account. What account should that be? Well, it's going to be one of my income accounts. Let's say it's construction income, and I record that deposit, and there it is. I'm done. I've got my income in QuickBooks. There's that deposit right there. Now, if I had invoiced the customer, that invoice is still showing in QuickBooks as needing to be paid, right? It's showing on my reports that that customer owes me that $4,320. So what should happen? What should happen is when I get that check, I should go to this step, receive payments, and then I should pick the customer that paid me. And then let's say that was Doug Jacobson's, let's just say it was Doug Jacobson. And he's got 2 open invoices out there. And so I record the fact that he made a payment of $4,320. That pays the opening balance, the remaining balance, I guess I should say, of both of his invoices. I'm going to put his check number on there. And then I'm going to say save and close. That completes the transaction. His invoices are paid. He's recorded that, or I've recorded that payment for him. What that doesn't do is it doesn't put the money in the bank. The next step is record deposit here. And you see there's a little emblem there, that red emblem that says, well, there are 2 customer payments sitting in an account called undeposited funds. That's an account that QuickBooks creates. You don't create it. And so that's kind of a temporary holding place. As you receive customer payments, QuickBooks by default puts those into undeposited funds, waiting for you then to come along, make a bank deposit, and take a whole batch of checks at one time. For many people, that would be the process. So if I click on that make deposits, and QuickBooks pops up this little window. Here are the payments that you have collected that you haven't taken to the bank yet, or perhaps I should say you have not recorded in QuickBooks that you have taken these to the bank. So I would select the deposit that I just made was for $4,320. So I would select that and click OK and make that deposit. And that's how I would record the deposit, not going to the bank register and recording it as income. Because as income, I've doubled my income now, right? The invoice records income and the deposit in the register records income. So that's the correct way to do it, and I could complete that by just putting that check mark here, clicking OK, and then completing the deposit. But I don't want to do that because I want to show you how to fix what I just did when I did it wrong. Before I leave this window, let me point out that if you are one of those industries that has lots of deposits, so usually some people have lots of small deposits, maybe stuff's coming in by credit card, check, and so forth, you may have a lot of payments in this window. And so you can select what types of payments you want to look at. So, we just MasterCard, Visa, Discover. Those are going to be deposited separately than cash and checks, right? So don't see it used a lot, but it's a handy way for those that need to separate those credit card payments into a separate deposit from cash and checks. All right, let's cancel out of all this and say, okay, what are we going to do about that deposit that's sitting in the register that's done wrong? It's doubling my income and not getting those invoices paid. So I'm going to find that, and here it is. And so if I highlight that and then I click on Edit Transaction, here's the deposit window that recorded that $4,320 as construction income. So what if I want to fix that now? What if I've already done the bank reconciliation and this has cleared? I can't delete it, but I have to do something with it because it's wrong, right? Well, so what I'm going to do, and this will not affect past bank reconciliations. The motorcycle went by. This won't affect my past bank reconciliations. The deposit will still show up as reconciled. So I'm going to click on this button right here that says Payments. And I'm going to select that Doug Jacobson payment for $4,320. Now my deposit is double the amount that it should be, right? I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to click on this line that I did incorrectly, the construction income line. And if I use the key combination Control Delete, so I'm not saying Control D, that would delete the entire transaction. But Control Delete will delete one line out of the transaction. All right, my deposit's still the right amount. It's still $4,320. Now it's the customer's payment for $4,320, not more construction income. So I save and close. Yes, I want to save my changes. It's still there in the bank register. It now shows undeposited funds. If it had been reconciled, it would still be reconciled, and my previous reconciliation would still be correct. As long as that deposit amount stays the same, I can change the details of a reconciled deposit without causing a problem. So hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the comments down below. I try to get to those as often as I can. So thanks for watching.